So good morning, everybody, and welcome again to our monthly webinars. It's great to see you all, and very grateful that we have such a huge number of people that have registered. We have almost 200 people registered. So hopefully, even with half that, the room will be quite big. Just a few housekeeping. So just ensure all are muted, and at times if someone is unmuted, we'll also mute you. This session is being recorded, and as our presenters give the information, I would also invite you to maybe put your questions and maybe comments and remarks on the chat so that we can have this and also maybe share with them. And then we'll also have a question and answer towards the end. So in terms of the agenda of the day, we have some welcoming remarks from the chair of the Kenya Coffee Platform. We were also expecting the chair of the Agricultural Caucus, Albert Mwaniki, just to say a small word. Then we're also expecting Akuma from the director of the Coffee Directorate to also give some few remarks. And then we have the pleasure of having Dr. Dennis Sedu from the International Coffee Organization, who is very gratefully this morning giving us a global overview. And it's quite early for him in London, so we are very grateful for him joining us. And then this coffee breakfast, I hope all of you are having a coffee and Kenyan coffee, hopefully. This coffee breakfast is sponsored by Solidaridad. So we'll also have just a short word from Solidaridad. Then we'll have the local market overview by the NCE, Bithi. And then we'll have the question and answer and also the remark session, which will be opened by the chair of the Kenya Coffee Producers Association. And then last but not least, we will have, sorry, I've just been informed I wasn't sharing the screen. Apologies. I hope you can see now. Yes, it tells me participants can now see my screen. So sorry about that. I think I hadn't shared that part. But again, I'm at the very end. And then last but not least, we'll also have some vote of thanks from Honorable Thuo, who is a good friend of coffee and also a member of the Coffee Sector Implementation Standing Committee. So without further ado, let me give the space to Mr. Karogo for some opening words. Chair, the ground is yours.
Thank you, George, and good morning, everyone. You are most welcome for this month's webinar meeting. The last one we had, we dwelt on policy, the issues which were in Parliament. And this time, the part that we are covering is related to the coffee economic market analysis. And mine is just to reassure you that the Kenya Coffee Platform will continue inviting you for these monthly webinars. And we would also very much welcome your views as other topics that you would like us to include in our meetings. We are still continuing with setting up coffee platforms. Last month, we launched one in Machakos, and this was very good, and we are hoping that we can also be able to do the same in the other counties. So really mine is to welcome all of you. I know we have some of the CECs with us. We have the most important, the coffee farmers, both from cooperatives and estates, and all those other organizations, stakeholders who are in coffee. Mine is just welcome you all and hope that you are going to have a great time. I happened to attend a launch yesterday by IDH, and I remember some remarks were made from the Coffee Directorate that it is important to keep on engaging our people. It's good for people to keep on talking so that they can be able to sort out the problems that are facing them. So with those few remarks, mine is just to welcome all of you and hope that we'll get a good feedback from you. Back to you, George.
Thank you very much, Chair. And I see Waziri Albert Mwaneki is in the room with us. So Waziri, give us some words of wisdom. Thank you.
Good morning. I am putting on the video briefly, then I put it off so that
okay,
whoever
Waziri
doesn't know my face can familiarize himself with it. Unfortunately, today I am actually on the road driving myself. My driver woke up sick, but nonetheless, I've stopped somewhere on the roadside so that we can continue this conversation. And I hope I'm audible. Watene, am I audible?
We hear you very well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Get better.
Yes. Good morning, everyone, both nationally and from the international quarters. I hear we have guests from London all the way, and we are happy to have everyone on board. It's a good day. We probably all woke up over a cup of coffee, and we are happy to progress advancing this coffee story. We cannot ignore the fact that we always say we will require coffee for the next 50 years, for the next 100 years. So this is a crop that we cannot ignore. We have to continue taking care of it. We have to continue taking care of our farmers. If our farmers are not happy, then we forget getting that coffee on our cup every morning. We are happy as counties, and as I represent all the CECs, particularly in the major coffee growing counties, about 32 coffee growing counties in this country, we have advanced and continued to support our coffee farmer. And I can tell you, the season was very good. I think many farmers are happy currently. For the first time, I think in the history of coffee, our farmers were paid above 100, quite a number of factories, especially when I talk about Murang'a County and other neighboring counties, in Nyeri and Kirinyaga. And so we want to sustain that spirit so that the farmer can remain happy. Because if the farmer does not get the benefit of tending coffee, waking up every day, looking after his coffee, paying rebalance and everything else, he will not see any value of keeping that coffee in his farm. And therefore, I'm happy to say and to report that currently the season was good, the farmers are happy, but what we need to do is to sustain that momentum. What happened or what was done over that past season must continue to be done so that we don't see the prices going down again. I am happy today, and I would say I will try as much as possible to remain onboarded on this webinar. And I hope to hear the remarks from ICO so that we know what is the future, how is the future looking like, how is the market looking like, how are the prices looking like going forward. Thank you very much. And I want also to welcome all the CECs who may be here in present from mainly the coffee growing counties and probably other counties that are upcoming and initiating coffee, including the Coffee Directorate. And Enos, you need to be talking to us. Thank you very much. Yeah, back to you, George.
Thank you very much, Waziri. And also thank you for mentioning about Enosh. Unfortunately, Enosh is in a very deep meeting trying to get the numbers right. So they're having some data validation. He said he might walk in. So if he comes in, then we'll get him to say something. But he had already mentioned that this meeting had really fallen at a time when they would be presenting some of this information in that meeting. So I think without further ado, I will go straight to Dr. Dennis Sidiu. Dr. Sidiu is the chief economist at the International Coffee Organization, but he's also a friend of African coffee, being African. And I think he's one of the people out there who are always looking out for what is happening and ensuring that we continue to benefit from this market. So Dr. Sediu, I think I'll give the floor to you and share with us what you have.
Thank you, George. Let me first of all share my screen. I have can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, I will brief as you mentioned. It's just a breakfast talk. What I will talk just with through 3-4 slides about price movement, and then the last 2 slides will be about our fundamental and what we in Africa, what are we going to do to take advantage of this positive trend of coffee price. As you all know, the composite indicators show this steady increase since nearly 1917 month. And this is the composite indicator price. The composite indicator price is average or composition of the 4 group of coffee, and we receive that we collect from major markets in North America and Europe. But more specifically, what is of interest for Kenya is the Colombian miles. The Colombian miles is an indicator of coffee from Colombia, Tanzania, and Kenya, and it's also this indicator reflects also the New York market for C market, which is also your reference as a coffee farmer and trader. So as you can see, since February 2019, I choose February because February is just we are in March of 2022, but I see what happened since 2 years. For the last 2 years, that you can see our price have moved from below 1.3 dollar per pound to the level it is now, which is over 300. So the market, as the previous speaker said, the market the coffee market is a booming. We have a positive trend. Even if you compare to what is happening in New York, obviously the New York C contract for Arabica, of course, is also a positive trend. So we all know that coffee price are increasing, and the trend is likely to continue for a few months. But what is behind this positive trend? As you know, we came from low price crisis that we observed in 2018, 2017, and then I think probably many coffee farmers in Africa and the rest of the world may have abandoned their coffee husbandry. But what is the fundamental factor behind coffee prices is at a strong demand. There's a strong consumption, and the production is not. Production has been affected, And the situation has been aggravated by the COVID-19 and also because of the disruption in the trade in terms of logistics. This has supported this trend. But above all, there was also weather issues. Because if you remember last year in July, Brazil, who is the main, the largest coffee producing country and exporting country, there was a frost in Brazil that has given a real push. Although because of the pandemic, the trade, logistic issue, there was already upward trend. But the weather phenomenon has given a real push in the coffee price. So you can see the production, the world production is still steady, steadily around on average around the 164 million bag, 60 kilo bag. But for the first time, we'll see for the first time, it is expected that for coffee year 21-22 that has just started, because we are now 4 months through this coffee year, it is expected that production will fall below consumption. That means this positive trend of coffee price will continue, because the last 2-3 years production was above consumption. But this year, this coffee year, that will be the opposite side. That means production will fall short of consumption. This will be another push to support the current trend. So the performance per country, you see, the performance Africa remain relatively poor. What you see in blue, is the production of total production of Africa, and apart from Uganda and Ethiopia, the rest are experiencing a negative trend of their production, and consequently a negative trend of their exports. As I just said briefly, consumption is increasing. The main factor, we have emerging markets, market of Eastern Europe and Asia, including South Korea. We have also an increasing trend, an increasing of domestic consumption in Africa, which is really taking up and providing a huge opportunity to improve value addition through processing, because most of African countries, they import coffee for their consumption. So it is a potential. But what specifically happened to the Kenyan situation? Although prices are increasing, we notice at ICO that the export of Kenya is not taking up. In the group of Colombian mile that is produced by Colombia, Kenya, and Tanzania, export of Kenya is far below 1 million bags. Is on average for the last 2 coffee years, we collect information on Kenyan performance, which is around 800,000 bags. Tanzania is doing well, because Tanzania is the export of a green coffee is around 1 million bag. So the question is how and why. First of all, why Kenya is not exporting that much, is not taking advantage of this good price trend in the market, because coffee market is characterized by a boom and bust. We can have a long period of low price, then you have a high price and so on. So it's always string. So the question is how we make sure that coffee producers can keep doing a good agricultural practice, although in order to take advantage of any positive improvement of the world price. So I think there are too many aspects I wanted to cover, but it's better I answer question and then I'm not going through the long detail and what is happening in other part of the world. So, Mr. Moderator, I think I will stop my introductory remark and wait for more question, for more interaction with participants. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dennis, and also thank you for shedding the light, because I think for us it's always a question of what is really happening out there, and you know, having the information from you really helps us break the myths and you know, move on and start, like you've questioned us, thinking about what really is happening and how can we make that better. So thank you very much, Dennis. And I think we are going to have a bit of information also on the local market. So I'm going to put a poll because we always like knowing who is in the room. So, oops, it's telling me it's failing. Sorry. All right, now you can see it. So just click on what best represents your category or your organization, and it's not a trick question. So just click on what best, or what you feel best represents you, and then we can go on. In the meantime, I don't know whether Valentine from Solidaridad, this part was for, of course, our coffee sponsor for today, you know, to just give us a small word. But she happens to be in a very strategic meeting at the moment. So I don't know whether, Valentine, you'd like just to say a word on behalf of your director. Valentine Kaleche. As the people put in their information. The room is almost full. We have 100 people in the room. So unfortunately, we couldn't make it bigger today. So I think some people have been cut out from joining, but just continue putting in what best represents you. And as soon as that is over, we have almost 70% have participated. So feel free to participate. The other 30%. In the meantime, Kaleche, or if you don't feel comfortable to talk on behalf of your boss, then that's okay. And Boniface is also in the room. So Boniface, in the meantime, I see Waziri Mwaneki's hand is up. So Albert, you can ask the question before we go to the next presentation.
That I cannot see the I cannot see the registration, the one you have just talked about.
Oh, the poll.
The poll, I can't see it. I don't know where it is on my screen.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's a bit difficult, especially you're using a mobile device, yeah?
Yes, I'm using a mobile phone.
Okay. I'll need to check how to. Anyway, I'll answer that part for you, Waziri.
Wow,
Thank you very much.
Answer for me. County government,
Okay.
yeah. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
So I think going on next, thank you very much for the poll. Oh, sorry, I almost closed it. So I'll end it. At least 78% of you have answered. And as usual, and this is the way we like it, as you can see, I'm sharing the results now. The producers make the bulk. So previously it was the NGOs and the civil society that were hitting this part, but we are glad that the producers have really made it important and come in. So thank you very much for that. And I think we'll go to the next presentation, which then happens to be on the local situation. So we have with us our very own Daniel Mbithi from the Nairobi Coffee Exchange. So Daniel, the floor is yours, and you can take it on from here.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. A lot that I would have actually shared has been well done by Denise. Thank you so much, because whatever happens here in Kenya is reflective of what is happening now, or rather what is happening in the world is very reflected in what happens here in Kenya. And I think we've gotten an overview, a very thorough overview of what is happening. And what I didn't prepare a presentation, but I'll just share what is happening on the ground now. And allow me just to begin with just saying what is at the end of February. The report is end of February. We have been able to sell through the auction about 13,000 metric tons. About 19,600 metric tons compared to 13,460 done the same period of time last year. And that gives us almost over 45% more coffee coming through the auction. And as Denise has shared, of course, we have been enjoying very good prices, dependent on majorly on the factors that he has shared. And we have seen our average price rising by the day. Compared with last year, we saw the prices move from 296 on average, that is $296 per 50 kg to 333. That is $6 point, .6, I would say so, which is a very good price. And I think Waziri has already told us what is happening on the ground. The farmers are happy. The question that remains is, are we able to sustain those kind of prices? That gave us a percentage rise of about 12% from the previous period of time. And when it comes to the total value of the same, I would say that we did almost 15 billion up to end of Feb, which was usually most of the times that that's what we record in a year. And so I can say we have gone up by almost 64% in value wise for the coffees that have come through the auction. And maybe just going to a bit of some of the details that we are seeing. We have seen the prices coming from 2019, when we had the lowest prices, where at one point we were doing about we are doing about 107, about 100 actually, about 100 dollars per 50 kg. That is about $2 on average. We have risen up to a high of 366.61. That is at the auction. By around end of the year last year, that is by December, by January, sorry, by January.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Can you share the screen, please? Can you share the screen, please? If you have a presentation.
Oh no, I do not have a presentation, so it is not organized. It's not organized, so please just bear with me as I did share. I can organize it and share with Watene. Or I can just share. I can just share that. Actually, I can just share that after this meeting, so that you can be able to have a look at the numbers and the movements, if that's okay. Yeah. So so you can see how the markets locally have been doing so well, and that was of course motivated by the international market, where we have seen actually they are seeing record almost we did about 250 cents per pound in the beginning of the year. That motivated actually the rise in the price. And of course, we cannot ignore the fact that whatever is happening out there makes a lot of difference on what is happening here. However, coming to the end of, towards the end of last month, that is Feb, we have seen the prices begin to plummet. And basically because of some two factors. One is that the market, that is ICE, has come down from the 250. We are now doing almost 210, around there. It's moving between, it's oscillating between 210 and 215 thereabout. And because of that drop, we have seen also the prices at the auction come down, coupled by the fact that, in the Kenyan scenario, we sell the better qualities first, and then we come to the lower qualities. The P1s, I can say we are just getting some pockets of that, just some few lots that are coming as P1s. And I can say actually over 90, almost over 90% of our coffees are more or less like sold now. So we can say the P1s and the P2s, most of it is sold. We have seen maybe a bit of B2s and the P3s and the P8s and the Boonies are now coming in, and that would maybe explain why the prices have come down. I know there's been a bit of concern why we are seeing the auction prices coming down. So that's basically the reason. Of course, the third one is there's a little movement, the movement because of the logistics, and maybe because of the very high prices. Again, I'm also told that there's a bit of stocks that are yet to move out of the country, and I think that could be one of the reasons why Denise is complaining that we are not seeing a lot of Kenyan coffee go to the export market. Most likely, the coffee will be offloaded very soon, and we may get a higher volume than we are seeing now. Otherwise, I think that is what is happening here. Just before I close, I would want to say that maybe some few of you may know, others may not know, we have been operating on an online trading platform now, which we are looking into improving. We have spoken to some few partners who are willing to give us support towards improving our platform, our trading platform. Of course, when we got into it, we were rushed because we did not have the time out of the COVID pandemic. So we just had to, migrate immediately because we wanted to have the business continue. And so we are working on towards improving, and as a beginning, we want to see how we are going to enhance our traceability That's more, I want Denise to hear this. We want to be more transparent. We want to show more of where the coffee is coming from. And it's a project that we anticipate to make a lot of, create more understanding of where our coffee is coming from, how it is grown, and who is growing it, and be able to even communicate much better to the consuming world as they even continue to buy from us. And I seek collaboration from all of us so that we can be able to give the best that can come out of this market. And with that, I want to thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mbithi. And I remember around last year at the same time, Mbithi mentioned that when he was presenting the numbers last year in April, I think he mentioned that one of the sad things that he's seeing is the fact that the prices will be good, but there'll be no coffee to sell at those good prices. So thank you again. I hope we did better than we did last year. So for now, I'm opening up the discussion and the question and answer. And of course, we'll start with Bwana Gikonyo, who is the chair of the Kenya Coffee Producer Association, to open up the questioning part right away. So Bwana Gikonyo. And then we'll also work on the ones, I'm seeing there's quite some questions on the chat, so we'll work on those ones too. But Gikonyo, we can start with you just to open this part of the agenda.
Yeah, thank you, Bwana George. And thank you for the participant for participating in today's meeting. Briefly, I want to take maybe some few highlights based on the presentation that has just been done. And one of it is on, we've not been seeing any progressive improvement in terms of production, despite the improvement in terms of prices. And it is important that we also ask ourselves, what is the reason behind this? And I think from our end, we've been thinking about carrying out a study to just help us understand why the prices are improving and the production is still stagnating at around, oscillating between around that 6 to around 40 metric tons. So that is a very critical point that we are looking at. And our major focus now, even when the prices are improving, is to focus on what is getting to the pocket of the farmer or the producer. Because basically the production has been oscillating around 1.4 to around 2.3 on average. But we would want to have an average where we are talking about 7.5, 10 or about 15, where by that time we'll be able to say that farmers are getting the funds, or they're getting the returns as expected. The other issue that has also been affecting the farmers that from our engagement with them is a lack of proper information. And sometimes when we get this information, sometimes information is trickling in when it is late. So it's also important that we are able to look at, in line with the production, most of the farmers, I can actually say, have a lot of information on their agronomical areas. But in terms of understanding the market and the market dynamics, there has been a challenge, because you find that the information that trickles into the farmers is usually historical. And when you are using that information maybe to help the production, basically it might not be able to trigger, because sometimes the information is coming too late to the time of production. Another observation that I also want to make is, yes, we are saying that globally there is improvement in terms of market. Even in NCE, we have seen or witnessed some improvement in the market in terms of the prices. But our focus, or our main focus, is what are these prices we are talking about is on the premium grades. So if you go back and look at the kind of production in terms of premium grades that have been produced by farmers, if you compare, it is a bit low, because it is anything below 60. So we would want to have a situation whereby we are having the premium grades, that is AAB, constituting to around 80–85%. That way, if we are able to get more or less the same prices, then the farmers' rate will have to improve. Another observation is in terms of the processing, we've been talking about the agronomy, where farmers are able to produce good coffees. But then when it comes to the processing in the course of pulping and the way it is done in some of the cooperatives and the other processors, the small and medium estates, then you find that some of them are not very clear on how they can be able to either maintain the quality or even improve, because coffee, we know usually it is the flavor or the taste that matters. Even if the size of bean has to contribute on it, then we must make sure that that which has been produced by the farmer is still maintained. Another one that we also need to also look at keenly is the information. Most of the farmers, yes, we hear that coffee has been trading at this particular level, the prices are good. But if you look at this kind of information that we are talking about, we need to first of all understand how are we able to trace our coffees from the farm to the market. Because sometimes you might find that producers are doing good coffees, but they do not know what they have actually been able to produce. Again, we need the information to trickle down to the farmer in good time, that they can be able to follow up the process from the production, processing until it is in the market. And therefore, they can also be able to understand those which the market is demanding this kind of grades, and then they can be able to produce towards that specific market. Lastly is on the issue of, again, on the information, sharing this information as it is happening. Yes, we appreciate the Nairobi Coffee Exchange currently that they are doing the market online. But that is as far as the information is concerned. But if we want to look back, how many farmers are able to understand and to get this information as and when it is happening? So you find that this information does not get the farmers, and we, from the association, which that is the Kenya Coffee Producers Association, we are looking at a platform that is going to help us link with an NCE and be able to share the market information. We also be able to get notes on the market and the trade in the World Coffee platform, such that we will be able to share this information in a manner that farmers will be able to understand whatever is happening in the market. And finally, we will want to look at the coffee production with all the stakeholders, so that all of us have a stake in the coffee process, in the coffee production. And ultimately, the main beneficiary should actually be the farmer, because without the farmer, then there is no coffee. So we need to focus and ensure that that which is being sold, when the farmer produces an A, which is 80%, or A and AB, which is 80%, it has to be the same 80% that trickles back to the farmer, so that the farmers do not feel like they are being shortchanged along the process. So information, when it is shared, it should be shared in a manner that the farmers will be able to understand, because sometimes they only find that the prices that are commanding in the market are so high, but when it comes to the payment, it is so low. Why? It's because they are not able to understand the dynamics. Again, from what Bonabidi has just said, is that we mostly deal with the premium grades first, and then we are left behind dealing with the others later. That means when the farmers were hearing that the prices were good, is when the premium grades were being dealt with. But when the poor grades or the lower grades are being dealt with, the information does also not trickle down to the farmers the way it should. So the farmer should be able to get all the information across the board when the good things are happening and when the bad things are happening, so that they can also be able to make informed decisions. Otherwise, I want to thank the participant and the Kenya Coffee Platform for giving us this opportunity to have that kind of an interaction. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Peter. And also thank you for mentioning, of course, the importance of the right information getting to the farmers. And we are glad today, almost a quarter of this room is actually farmers. So I think that's one step in that direction. I have Dr. Kimemia with the hand up. So Dr. Kimemia, and then anyone else who might want to say something, you can put your hand up also.
Thank you, George. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Dr. Kememia.
Thank you very much. I want to thank Dennis for the presentation and the highlights has given upon us. I think it makes us understand the dynamics better. Thank you also, Mr. Bidi, for giving us the rock constitution to understand better the dynamics. However, I've got one worry, and I think I want to address more to the rock constitution other than the international. And that, as Dennis said, and also Bidi said, what happens internationally has got an effect also locally. And what we are now seeing as an increase in the coffee prices are basically a reaction to the COVID-19 and also the problem of production in Brazil. So really, there are things which are not our own effort as producers from Kenya, from Africa. We are just reacting to things which are not in our control, that we are not done. And so the prices look high, but it's not enough of our efforts. We cannot take any. We cannot take any. We cannot take the responsibility that it's us who have done good marketing or good production. So I want to put this challenge back to us as a board, as KCP, as the producers, particularly my friend Mr. Gikonyo, where we also sit together. That yes, we can look at these prices and try to react to see how best we can be able to improve our production, improve our marketing, that our prices our coffee are getting good prices regardless of what's happening globally. So anything that happens will be an added bonus to our production. Number two, we also now facing the issue in between Russia and Ukraine. So again, as a country, as a producer, and we're seeing this as an opportunity that you can take advantage. How long it's going to be there? So I think we need to come down as a country and look at all these issues, put them in a cooking pot, mix them nicely with all people involved, and come up with a recipe that will help our farmers take advantage of our coffee and take advantage of global events that might have a positive effect on our coffees. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Daktari. I'll give Dr. Dennis and then Bivi a chance to respond because I can see their hands up. So Dennis, the floor is yours. And then I'll get back to the others that have questions.
Yes,
Anthony and Patrick.
Thank you, George. I raised my hand to ask a question.
Okay.
I can comment on. I still wonder why Kenyan production is not going up. Why from around above 1 million bag, sometimes 2 million bag, why is now less than that? Although Kenya coffee is the best in the world, and so what is the real issue, and how can an international organization like ICO can also contribute alongside with the coffee authority in Kenya? My second question is, I can see, because of the quality and the importance of Kenyan coffee in the international market, how you play the competition between the local industry for domestic consumption and the need for export to get more value out of coffee. Sometimes I ask myself how you people in Kenya play around this. Those are the two main questions. But if I have to comment on what they just said, I think first of all, the International Coffee Organization monitoring closely what happened in a different part of the world in terms of coffee. But I think the main issue we have is sustainability, how to make our business sustainable in terms of how we control all the value chain and how we control our costs along the value chain and remove unnecessary costs and like too many intermediaries and too many time between delivery of a coffee by farmers and then the return of the proceed. All this time is also increase cost of production, and it make those farmers less competitive compared to farmers in Asia and in Latin America. I think this one we need to address it, and because international coffee price, like any agricultural commodity, cocoa, the price is always up and down. But how, whatever the price, the level of price will be, how we build our resilience. That is the main question we should ask ourselves. Thank you for now.
Thank you, Dennis, for the candid words of advice and also for mentioning that. I don't know whether Mbithi, you wanted to answer something before then we go back to the list. Mbithi.
Yes, thank you. A matter that was raised by the KCP chair about our online system getting to the farmers. I think in the past week, we actually been talking to the CEO, that's Madam Sarah, and working towards ensuring this happens, and it is work in progress. Actually, we are, and this has just come when we have been thinking about the same, because part of the improvement is that creating more accessibility and ensuring that we don't just remain for the you know the trade, but everybody else who is involved in the coffee industry. That's why we are saying we are opening it up, and we are only now looking at, of course, the funding part of it and even how it can be able to work. But it is work in progress, so don't worry about that. Secondly, George, I can see somebody's asking about whether coffee certified by a fair trade and other certification can get more in the auction. And I would say, looking, having an overview of the pricing and the kind of prices that we get vis-a-vis what the general prices vis-a-vis those that the coffees that are certified, I think I can be able to say yes. Given the same price, no, the same quality, and the coffee and having the certification, that gives it you know, a better appeal, because there are more people are looking for those certified coffees. And I would say data is available if somebody would want to actually do that analysis further. This is what I'm saying, it's not scientific, but I had just an overview of how the prices behave from one lot to another, between the certified coffees and those that are not certified. But I can tell you in confidence that yes, I've seen that kind of a trend.
Thank you, Daniel. Now we go to Honorable Anthony Moredi. So your hand is up. So you can ask your question, and then we'll go quickly down to all the others. Sorry, it's Anthony Moredi.
Thank you, George and
Bomba Alpha.
Good morning, everyone. I think for me it's a good reunion. I don't have a question as such, but I just want to say hi to everyone and also give you my perspective. I'm now in Rome, just to assure you that the coffee market out there is real. Where I am in Rome, Italians are basically coffee drinkers. Instead of being served with a cup of water after a meal, you're always served with a cup of coffee. And they are quite aware about Kenyan coffee. What we are lacking is the Kenyan coffee. What I see in the market mostly is coffee that's coming from the South Americas, but most of it is blends. But I just want to assure you that the market is there, and I'll be glad to play that liaison role between here and Kenya, as well as Greece, Malta, Cyprus, and Albania. These are the countries that I handle when I'm working from here. I'm also very happy to get the updates from home. Busy, I know we worked on the online platform. I'm happy that it's almost up and running, and also the optimism of the coffee stakeholders, and also for keeping this platform alive. I have not been able to participate in many meetings, but I think wherever I get chance, I'll do so. I'm going to share my email on the chat box. for any inquiries so that we can be able to engage one-on-one with whoever has an interest, whoever has a query, I'll be able to respond. So thank you very much and good morning.
Thank you very much, Mureithi, our diplomat in Rome, and it's very nice to see you again, and you're always welcome, and also for the reassurance. So we go to Patrick Muragori. You had your hand raised up, so.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. A few questions. One, I would have wanted Dennis to give us a graph, one graph that actually shows us both the world demand and the supply, because he has mentioned something important, that the world demand is now exceeding supply, and even some projections as to how we expect that to go, both graphs in the next 2-3 years. The second question is Colombian miles. Kenyan coffee is Colombian miles, as we've just been told. So my question is, can we start being granular, specific to the Colombian miles coffees? Let us see where the shortfall in demand is for Colombian miles, or if indeed we have room to improve our capture of that market for Colombian miles, because a meeting such as this should actually help us to move forward in a positive direction. And the other question, which actually came from Dennis himself, is why we are not growing our coffee production here in Kenya, yet we have a premium opportunity. It's a very strong competitive advantage. So who is supposed to help us with a strategy, the national strategy for taking advantage of this, of a great opportunity we have? Who is supposed to be giving us this information so that the country really works together to exploit this opportunity that we have and to grow ourselves from this so-called lethargy? We're not growing our coffee production. I'm a coffee farmer, and I'm very keen to hear what it is that is out there, what opportunity there is, and who in Kenya has the proper strategy for this country, so that I latch on to that strategy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. And I think as KCP, we will say we will provide the platform. We'll provide the table for that discussion, and then all the stakeholders are here. So then I go to Dr. Alice. I think we are 1 minute over time. So if you allow maybe another 4 minutes so that we finish the 3 hands that are raised and then end this meeting. I hope you will bear with me on that one. So Dr. Alice, the floor is yours. Keep it short and specific.
Okay, yes. Thank you so much, George. Thank you so much for the meeting. I had 2 questions, and I agree with Anthony. Currently, I'm at Oxford University for research. And even here, there's such a demand for coffee, especially sustainable coffee, which is why I asked the CEO the question. But my other concern was, even as we tell farmers to produce sustainably, to be fair trade, my concern is who is bearing. Is it the farmers who are bearing this? Because when I did my PhD research, some coffee cooperatives could not even afford the fair trade fee, what they had to pay, and it's very expensive. The other one was, when I was coming here, I was trying to buy Kenyan coffee, and what I saw is Java coffee, Dormant's coffee. So the question also for Peter Gekonyo is, what are the barriers they face towards selling roasted coffee, integrating into this value chain, so they are not just selling green coffee to the auction? How can they integrate even the local market? Because now there is a rising middle class in Kenya. We have coffee shops, people going to buy coffee. Why don't we have our own Kenya from the farm to the final cup being under the cooperatives? And finally, George, I'll send you a link. There'll be a meeting for the Trade Hub. I'm researching as part of a Trade Hub, which does a lot of commodity analysis. Coffee is one of them, and Africa is not represented heavily. We just have me for Kenya and someone for Tanzania, and we need more representation. So I'll send the link, and if it's open to external participants, it would be good to hear the voices of people who are on the ground. So I'll share that with you, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Daktari. It's always good to hear from out there. And I think you're near Dennis there in Oxford and London. So next is our chair, Karogo. You have your hand up. The floor is yours.
Maybe, George, I would rather we give the guests first.
Okay,
Then
okay.
I'll come up here.
So I think Sarah, KCPA, a quick one, and then we bring it to a stop. Sarah, you're muted. Okay, Sarah, I'm sorry. And then there's Boniface, a quick one, please, Boniface.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Boniface Mulandi. I work with Solidaridad, Eastern Central Africa. For me, what I would want to say is that we are very committed and we're willing to support KCP and KCPA in and also a Solidaridad. We're very cognizant for the support towards betterment of the coffee sector in Kenya. And we have some interventions that we're working and we are planning to implement with KCP and KCPA that will answer some of the questions which have been raised here. And we'll be looking forward to bringing solutions to the problems or the challenges that we face in the coffee sector. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Boniface. These are the words we want to hear. Like Patrick mentioned, what are the solutions? What are the ways that we can solve some of these challenges? Sarah, are you back? If not, Bwana Chair, and then we get our closing remarks and then we close. But as for the questions that are there, we'll also try to compile them. And if there are some specific ones to some of the presenters, we will share the answers as we share this recording and the presentations. So, Karogo.
Thank you, George. And I think for those who have their mics on, they could maybe mute them. Or George, you can just mute that mic. We do have some questions which were brought up, which I think were quite important. If it is still possible, perhaps if we could have an extra 10 minutes, that could still help. Because some of these issues, why we meet is try to look for solutions to some of the problems that we are having. Now, there is an issue which was brought up by Denise in relation to production, and he was wondering what is the problem with the production in Kenya. It is good for all of us, first of all, to appreciate that from the heydays of our 130,000 tons, we are just hovering around 40,000 tons, which is a very, very huge drop. And I think this is what Dr. Denise was asking, what is the problem? It is not one problem. It's good for us to be candid. And why I'm saying this is because when I talk about what is happening to our coffee industry, and Denise is with us. He's an African, and sometimes you talk about internal issues. One, when we talk about production, we know it goes with, first of all, good weather and nutrition. We have talked about cost of production being high. But what is important to know is, I think apart from the west of the Rift and in Kirinyaga, all the other counties, their production has not been going upwards. So we do indeed have an example. What is it that they are doing in Kirinyaga that we are not doing, apart from them being close to our God in Kirinyaga? So that is a very important area. That's the only place where they are having their production going up. And I'm saying this because I have figures. If you go to Baragwe with their over 10 factories, they had 10 million kilos of cherry. If you go to places like Gekanda with the 3 factories, they had close to 5 million kilos. If you go to Kaguno with their 2,000 farmers and is only a standalone factory, they had 1.5 million kilos. So it is still possible to produce. So on one part, the governance is a very critical issue. You know, what is common in all those places, governance issues as far as the cooperatives are concerned are very critical. Then two, when we talk about agronomy, and that's the area where I really enjoy talking about. One thing we all need to appreciate, even if you get fertilizers in huge quantities or manure, and we have not gone back to the practices that we used to have of having bench terraces. Please don't apply fertilizer or apply manure if you have not carried out your soil conservation measures, because everything else, everything that you'll apply will go down the drain. Then the other very important part is, of course, we have been discussing, I said last month we discussed about the policies. If you don't have the right policies, then you have a problem. In a meeting which I was in the other day, some of those private companies who sometimes also lend money to farmers, they said they cannot give them inputs now because it has been prohibited. As we speak, if we anticipate to get more crop next year, we have to apply a fertilizer. And we don't have to apply it when the rains have come and gone. So we should be having that in place. But as we speak, they are not certain now how to move forward. So the moment we straighten up these issues, Dr. Sidhu, I believe we'll be able to turn around the figure. So some of those very critical studies which we have done related to why or how we can change the production trend, we have them in the website of Kenya Coffee Platform. Studies made on economic viability. So you see where we are stuck. Studies made in the coffee processing. Yes, indeed, we know we have a problem with old processing units, but that should not, so far, the quality of our coffee doesn't have that as a problem. So I think it's for us to look at the priorities, do the right things, and we'll be able to change the trend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. So Sarah, if you're not yet back, I think I will push it because like the Chair said, and thank you for some of those answers. We will also take the others and maybe put them together. So as we move on, I'd like to give it to Waziri Robert, maybe to give a quick vote of thanks. Robert is a very good friend of coffee, although now he's in charge of the PASS in Nyeri County. Waziri, take it on.
Okay, thank you, George, Chairman. Thank you, everyone. Mine is to appreciate everyone who has participated in this particular forum. I just wanted to give my input before we do the closure. One of them is that as much as we want to talk about production, it has to be tied to the market. And what drives production is basically the market. So if the market prices are low, or whatever the farmer is getting is low, then there is no morale, there is no motivation for production. So again, we have to look at, we have to address the issue of transparency and accountability. That has to be along the whole chain, not just at the farmers' cooperatives. Yes, we admit all is not well at the farmers' cooperatives, and there is a lot of mismanagement, but even across the board, in terms of the value chain, that's an area that needs to be looked at. The next thing that I wanted to say is absolutely there is a high cost of production, as most of the farmers may not afford. Even if we are to talk of increase in production, absolutely, if you look at the cost of fertilizers alone or the agrochemicals that the farmers are using, the prices are totally prohibiting, and farmers will not break even. The other area is that we have a challenge in terms of policies and strategies. And where I sit in the coffee subsector Reforms Implementation Studying Committee, we have done the strategy, we have done policies, and sent to the CS Agriculture. Again, there is a bureaucratic tape in the whole thing. I don't think we are doing very well in the ministry, because some of the things that are proposed, even by the committee, are never executed or turned around. I will give an example of the cherry fund, which the president gave for the support of the coffee farmers. That money ended up in another route. And even today, I doubt if over 70% or 80% of it has been utilized. And the purpose of it was to inject some support to farmers in order to increase production. The other area that will be critical to address is the issues of climate change. We are living in a world where climate change is real, and our farmers must take cognizance of this, and they must be supported, so that if something like flowering is affected, then how does that tie to the markets? The other issue that I wanted to conclude with is the issue of counties. We are now in a devolved system of government. County governments must deliberately provide support in terms of budgets to support coffee, not just agriculture, but coffee. Unfortunately, this is not the case, because I'll give an example where there is what we call the ward-specific programs, and very few members of the county assembly are allocating resources or proposing resources to support the coffee sector. So these avenues that would be made doable in the county governments, because we have about 32 counties that are coffee growing. And what we need to do is to ensure that the new governments that come in, because you have an opportunity, the new governments that come in after August understand that there is need to provide budget for that, for coffee. The other one is to support counties to initiate vertical integration in terms of coffee production and processing and marketing, so that the farmers can have benefits in terms of economies of scale. The other one is market linkages. And I will give one example where Kipkelion was able to do direct sales to South Korea. And this was midwifed by the coffee subsector reforms implementation studying committee. So counties must also be alive to the fact that they have a part to play in terms of production, and then actually the value chain, and more so market linkages, because this was through the embassy that we got the support of selling this coffee, or supporting the Kipkelion market. Growers sell their coffee to South Korea. And I believe that is that one example in Kenya, where the direct sale did not involve any middlemen. We used our embassies in these countries. So I think I want to appreciate the meeting and the input from everyone, and thank everybody. And we look forward to ensuring that we are not outwitted by our neighbors in the region. Kenya needs to get its share in the market, and that can only be done through through getting back to our production trends, quality, and the volumes that are needed in the market. Otherwise, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for all those who have participated.
Thank you very much, Waziri, and thank you for the kind words. And I think for now, and also thank you everyone for the extra time. I mean, the room has remained full, even with these challenges in time. So I'd like to invite Ivy to lead us in a closing word of prayer. And then, but I can see we'll need more time for these discussions, but at least we've set the ball rolling, and KCP will be reaching out to the stakeholders first with the results of this meeting, but also with other opportunities, just to ensure then that our farmers are making quite a living from these important products that we have. So Ivy.
Hello, everyone. It's an absolute delight that you were able to make it for today's session. We are so glad that you could make it. Let's have the word of prayer before we proceed to the rest of the day. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this day. Thank you for your love and your guidance and being with us throughout this session. We place each and everything that we have deliberated upon, oh God, upon your able presence, and ask for your wisdom and your guidance, my God, even as we go on in our business in the coffee industry to ensure that there is sustainability and better prices for the farmers. We give you all the honor and all the glory and place each and everything that we do afterwards into your able presence. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Ivy. I think it's nice to have a group photo. So if we can all put on our cameras on our way out, then we'll have a nice small group photo. I mean, it's really encouraging. And then also we'll try continue with the same discussions at the country platforms, which will really help this. So everyone who is able to, I know at times it's not possible to put on the camera, but if you're able to, please put it on so that we take a nice group picture and then move forward. I still don't have the screen full. Yeah, it's filling. And again, thank you very much for attending and sharing your comments. As you can see, I think we need more time for these matters, but we'll try next time also maybe to break them up into pieces so that then we can all reach out better into this. But thank you for giving us your almost 1.5 hours now. And hopefully we'll keep the discussion moving either over email or over chat, or even maybe hopefully answer some of these questions in a later meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George and Chair.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And thank you, Dr. Dennis, for giving us early morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Alice, you can get in touch with KCP.
No worries.